to the show now where sports and food collide. Basketball and barbecue, every fan's delight. From the court to the grill, stories we will share. Tasty bites and highlights together everywhere. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. From fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will fade. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. Football and fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride.
Welcome to Sports Bytes. Welcome to Sports Bytes with your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home, get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bytes. Let's dig in.
Oh, what is up, guys? I am trying to fix a problem that has happened in midstream, guys. This is unreal. I can't believe this is happening right now. Trying to get the, let me see here. If I can get this working. I apologize, guys. Hold on one second. This is unreal. I cannot believe this is happening right now. Goodness gracious. This is unreal. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to get it. I'm going to welcome my guy in, Sean Clinch, man. Sean,
what's happening, Chris?
I don't know what's going on. My camera is acting up. I'm trying to get it fixed. I was going to give you a great big intro because, you know, up there, now it's popping in. There
he is. Hey, we're all together as one.
There we go. But as you can see and you can hear, it's time for one of the greatest weekends in all of college football. And it's now time.
Beautiful weekend.
We're going to talk about, you know, I've always got a six-pack of games that I like to talk about, Sean. And obviously we're going to talk about the Red River rivalry, Oklahoma, Texas. First one in the SEC. Get your thoughts about that. First thing I want to get your thoughts about, man. Well, first off, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm good. This is the eve of arguably the best and most unique rivalry in the country in college football. not heading up until early tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So got to stay hydrated. It's going to be very warm in Dallas, Texas. Oh, got you a little vodka toddy, huh?
No, that's some of the God's nectar. That's some bourbon right there.
That's the southern nectar.
That's right. That's right.
I like it. I love it. More respect to you on that one.
But man, it's great to have you on. For those that don't, hey, I got to mention, do you remember Harry James Taylor?
I do.
So my show last week, I was like, hey guys, next week's going to be a lot of fun. I've got Sean Clinch coming on. All of a sudden, Harry James Taylor pops up in the chat. I love the clincher. So if you see Harry James pop in tonight, you know,
He's good people.
He's great people, man. Great people. But for those that don't know, Sean and I, we got to know each other when in Oklahoma. Sean was doing some stuff with the local news channel, covering high school sports, covering, you know, basketball, covering college football, everything. Now he's down in Texas. Obviously, a Longhorn guy. And you can see Stories Inside the Man Cave podcast. Why don't you tell everybody real quick what that podcast is about? What do you guys do?
Well, you know, I've learned that, you know, the premise of it was obviously like so many did during COVID. Launched it after the post-media career, and it's basically having guests on to tell their great stories, and it could be inspiring, humorous. There's a lot of humor. So now it's that regular guest. Then we have during the football season, a former Longhorn defensive tackle who played for Matt Brown, Stevie Lee. We do an episode every Sunday called The Pass Rush, and then there's many episodes called Let's Talk About It. And it could be subjects like we're going to discuss tonight on this great podcast. And the main page is on Stories Inside the Man Cave Facebook page and YouTube, which I should have put forth more effort into YouTube
Right.
before I just exhausted all the resources on Facebook.
Man, you've had some guys on, like you've had the kicker, haven't you? You've had Bert Auburn on, haven't you?
He and Stevie are the faces of Hargrove Roofing, which is one of our 4 sponsors.
Okay. I'm hoping, you know, we don't have another Dicker the Kicker situation this weekend. Just saying. But yeah, Matt Short says Kentucky Vanderbilt. We'll talk about Kentucky Vanderbilt. Dominic, he's a big Florida State guy. Kind of feel bad for Dominic, man. It's been, you know.
Oh, I feel sorry for you, Dominic.
It's been a rough year, but he's a good dude. But we're going to get to a lot of sports, man. Like I said, I always have a group of 6 games that I pick that I want to talk about. All right? First game, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this.
Well, first off, I'm absolutely starving and mouth is watering with the grill and the
Sports Bytes,
meat.
baby. It's Sports Bytes. So here we go.
I love
Boise State, Hawaii. Have you had a chance to really, as we talk about, have you had a chance to digest what Ashton Genty is doing right now?
It's funny you say that, brother. It's I have since late July. I was just looking at who are the great running backs? Who are the great storylines this year? I mean, this is a kid I've wanted to either do a mini episode with, and he's blown up now, but he played his last year or 2 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in the Frisco area, I believe. Yeah. Great athlete, multi-sport guy. He's like us, low center of gravity, very talented, and he's obviously a Heisman candidate. And if you haven't seen this young man run the ball, I don't know who he reminds me of.
Well, you mentioned that. Have you seen the stuff going around social media about the way he lines up in the backfield?
No, tell me about it. I have not seen that.
Just watch this. People say he's in the backfield and looks like a serial killer. Watch this. That's how he stands before the play. Not in an athletic stance. He just stands there.
Wow.
And here's the crazy thing. Everybody knows he's getting the ball. And in less than 100 carries, he has over 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah. Averaging 10 yards per carry. That's unbelievable.
And you know he's going to get the ball. But look how he just stands. I've never seen a running back be that explosive.
Look at those feet.
You know, but he just stands there stoic like Michael Myers in Halloween. Boom, he steps in there for the block. He's just standing in the backfield. Just standing straight up.
My mind is blown. I love watching this kid run the rock. I really do.
He's great. He's absolutely phenomenal. And I'll say this. I know you being a Texas guy. After the Michigan game, I had Quinn Ewers as my number one in the Heisman.
Uh-huh.
Just because of that first half, just the control of the offense, what he did. I know it's not the same Michigan team, but still, you go to the big house, you have that kind of game.
Big win.
Big win. But what Ashton Jeanty is doing now, he is putting up Barry Sanders, Ricky Williams type numbers.
Right. On
average. Two of the best to ever do it. And I think I saw he had almost 130 more carries last year. I think he had like 224 carries and only ran for 1,300 yards. He's got 96 carries right now and has over 1,000. I mean, it's crazy. Boise State, damn good football team, had a chance to beat Oregon. Now they're looking at a position, they're ranked number 17, a chance to win, and continue to be that group of 5 team that makes the playoffs.
I love it because the group of 5 has deserved an opportunity to play for a national championship for many years now. The problem is, in my opinion, and this is not a slight or a shot at the Mountain West. I think there are good football programs in that league. But people view it as, it's just that mid-major. He's not facing good defenses. I would venture to say there are 3 or 4 pretty good defenses. I mean, I saw Colorado State up close. They have problems. Jay Norvell is trying to get that thing turned around up there. But I think Boise State, they needed a guy like this because Boise State, when they beat Oklahoma in that Fiesta Bowl, they were on top of the world when Ian Johnson proposed to, and they're still married, by the way.
I know, I've seen that. Zabransky, all those guys. Yeah.
They've kind of plateaued and just progressively lost their, not luster, but their clout, so to speak. But people still love Boise State. I think this is what this program needed because it is a good football program. I mean, it wasn't long ago. They were an FCS 1AA program.
Right.
And my alma mater, Stephen F. Austin, has a winning record against Boise, by the way.
There you go. Axe 'em, Jacks.
Yeah. But I think there's a good chance they're going to run the table, but I also think there's also a good chance that they're going to be in a couple of games which they may lose.
Sure. But again, going back to Jeanty, you look at what he did against Oregon. Everyone would say that Dan Lanning is a really good defensive coach.
Without a doubt.
Jeanty, 25 carries, 192 yards, 3 tuds. Had a long of 70. I mean, so it's really interesting. I think Hawaii is just kind of outmatched. I love Hawaii. I always tell people, and I think you and I had talked about a while ago, I've never understood why Hawaii is not the best in everything because, again, I understand tradition. I understand, people wanting to go to Notre Dame, go to Michigan. But if you're going to tell me I've got 4 years on the North Shore paid for, mucka, baby, here I come. I'm going to be I know it's a long way to go to get there, but now with NIL and stuff, I'm surprised. But I think Boise State hammers them.
I think they hammer. And to your point, something I don't understand either. They're no longer in which from afar, Aloha Stadium looked pretty nice. Mm-hmm. But there was never money into it to renovate it. So now they're on campus in a much smaller venue, which would probably be just a much smaller venue, very much like University of Central Oklahoma.
Sure. The Bronchos.
It's I just wonder why there is not more money poured into this program.
Yeah, I mean, with everything there. But again, I think of that game, and I picked this game just because I want to see what Jeanty continues to do because of his onslaught on the record books, what he's doing.
Right.
Again, Hawaii knows he's going to get the football, but can they stop him? And I think the spread, and I've got it in my pick'ems, I think the spread was Boise by 21, and I think I took Boise given the points just because I think they hammer them. Next game, this game, it used to have a lot of luster, Penn
Ooh.
State and
Oh,
USC.
oh.
All right. Now, this game,
Dangerous for me. I mean, to be
are you
honest with you.
buying James Franklin and Penn State?
At home, yes.
Well, this is in the Coliseum.
At home, yes. But that's why I'm Lincoln's back is against the wall, in my opinion. Already.
I think so.
I don't think his job's on the line, but there's a little pressure. And this is a great opportunity for them to get back in it. And I like Penn State. I listen, Ohio State is above and beyond in the new Big Ten.
Sure.
And the fact that this is a league game, I don't want to be the old guy, but come on, man. This should not be a conference game. There's no way somebody from the West Coast is playing almost on the East Coast in a league game.
And
I mean,
vice
that's not
versa.
what you
I
asked
mean,
me about.
They're having to go down. In the quarterback play, Miller Moss versus Drew Aller. I mean, obviously Miller Moss had the great bowl game last year, started off really hot. But again, the bugaboo for Lincoln Riley's teams has been defense. Now, people say there were some questionable calls officiating-wise in that Minnesota game, but still, you go to Minnesota, again, a league game that you never thought you'd see USC in Minnesota. But again, I'm not sold on Penn State. They're 5-0, but they've been 5-0 the last couple years, and
Yep.
They've got Ohio State. Washington, has beaten Michigan. Minnesota has beaten USC. So, I mean, there's not a lot of games left, really on their schedule. So, I mean, it favors Penn State. But again, I don't buy Drew Aller. I don't think they have the explosive weapons on the outside. And as much as I hate it, I think I took USC in this game to win this game plus the points. Because I think Penn State's favored, and I think I took USC plus the points.
I'm leaning toward USC, but I'd also think it's like Penn State is just your perennial finish third in the Big 12 every year. But I don't know. I'm leaning toward USC, but it's not going to surprise me if Penn State takes this one. I mean, I don't even think USC is one of the elite teams. I mean, they're on the outside of the playoff, in my opinion.
Here's the thing, too, and I'll say this. The game starts at 2:30. There's another game on there I might be paying a little more attention to.
There is one.
There's one.
I can guess.
Another game. Now, hey, you're a Texas guy. I'm an Oklahoma guy. We now have to care about the SEC and its conference game. Ole Miss and the Bayou Bengals.
Bayou Bengals.
This game intrigues me because the beginning of the year, I said this was kind of a make or break year for Lane Kiffin.
Correct.
With what they did in the transfer portal, everything from him having looked like the Revenge of the Nerds tug of war games during his spring football. It was not a traditional spring game, but everything that Lane was doing. Then you go out and you put up 70 your first couple games. Then you lose to Kentucky at home. LSU has had some struggles, but again, I think Garrett Nussmeier he's overachieved anything that I thought he was going to do this year, right? And I'll admit it, I wasn't sold on him. I think he's done great, but I love the quarterback matchup, Jackson Dart versus Garrett Nussmeier.
I mean, Baton Rouge is one of the toughest places in America to play.
And it's a night game.
There is no doubt about it. And I don't know. I cannot figure out Ole Miss. I really can't. I think they're potent. I think they're good. But I even think they're a little overrated. And this is really odd. Now my second light is going out. This is really strange. Now I have this weird lighting situation.
That's all right. My camera wasn't working at the beginning of the show.
These are brand new lights, by the way.
Awesome.
I've had them for less than 5 months. And one of my Amazon, you must have banged them around. All the things we buy from Amazon. But hey, we have lighting. We'll live with this. Ole Miss has to win this. They lose, their playoff chances are going to be really tough. I mean,
I think either team. They're both. Well, LSU still 1-0 in the conference, This would be the second conference loss for Ole Miss. And, for Ole Miss, it doesn't get any easier. You got at LSU, then you got Oklahoma coming in. Who knows what that team's going to look like in another week? At Arkansas, we've already seen it's hard to play at Fayetteville. Ask Tennessee, Georgia, at Florida. Who knows what Florida is? And Mississippi State, Levy's not having the best year out there, but it doesn't get easier for Ole Miss.
No. I think there's not many elite teams this year in the SEC. I think you got Texas and Georgia. I have no idea about I think Alabama's a playoff team. Texas and Georgia, that'll be next week.
It's a big game, and
that big game, and it's I just think there's some programs which are not as good as we thought they would be, but we're still got a lot of season left.
There's a lot of football left.
There's going to be a lot of 2 and 3 loss teams in the SEC this year.
Cody, LSU by 50. He's a big LSU fan.
I'm going with Cody. I'm not going to say by 50. I'm going to say LSU by 10.
I think in my picks I took LSU as well. What some call the biggest game of the day, College Game Day, is going to be there. Again, a new conference game. Number 2, Ohio State, traveling to Eugene. I mean, Oregon is a tough place to play. People can say what they want about the size of the stadium. It's so loud. I mean, we can remember the 2007 game when the onside kick should have went Oklahoma's way, and Alan Patrick holding the ball up, and they give the ball to Oregon. It's crazy. You gents know ball. Thanks, Cody. You know ball too. That's why we like talking to you. But this game right here, man, I'm excited about the game because, one, I've got a soft spot for Dylan Gabriel because of what he meant to Oklahoma. I've never been an Ohio State fan. I think Ryan Day is a horrible human being. Him yelling at Lou Holtz last year, I mean, get over yourself. Get over yourself.
That's not a good look. Not a good look.
Will Howard, now you got Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Ibuka. Obviously, receivers will help make a quarterback. I mean, we can look at Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, those guys. The list goes on, both Texas, Oklahoma. Good receivers make a quarterback. I don't know if Will Howard is ready for what he's going to see with Oregon. And people have talked, well, Oregon's not been that impressive. They've just won football games. And in this day and age of football, that's all it's almost like the basketball. Survive and advance. They're 5-0. They're 2-0 in the Big Ten.
The thing that I have, so Autzen Stadium, the pitch of the stadium is like this.
Right, yeah.
And all that sound, it is architecturally sound and beautiful for a college football environment.
Absolutely.
And another one that no one talks about, I've been to that's smaller than this, is University of Montana.
Okay, I've never been. I'd love to go see a game there.
It is like this. It's bowled in now, but it's uniquely structured. The sound in that stadium, it's almost as loud if you were on the field at Kyle Field at Texas A&M, which I think is the loudest. I have not been to Oregon yet, but I know about it.
A&M is so loud.
Yes.
And it makes you motion sick. Like when they start doing that swaying and stuff, if you're on the field level and you look up and they're all giga-booping, whooping, swaying, and you're like, yeah, whoop, you creepy milkmaids.
So I was shocked when Will Howard transferred from Kansas State.
I think it was a lateral move from Kyle McCord to Will Howard. Now again, I think Kyle McCord has had a better year this year, playing with less talent.
Yeah.
But I'm not sold on Will Howard. And the end of the day, Dan Lanning, the coaching matchup is very intriguing. Dan Lanning and Ryan Day. Dan Lanning you saw it last year. He's an ultimate motivator. He really gets into it, has a good time. But man,
to me, I know Ohio State. This is going to be their first true game, true test.
Yeah.
They haven't really played anybody yet to date but they've taken. So I was corrected when I said that about Texas. Their only quality opponent has been Michigan. Well, I had a couple of people correct me and say, well, really good teams blow out convincingly the lesser teams, which Texas has done. They did find a little bit of a test against Mississippi State. So my point being is Ohio State has blown out their opponents to date. But playing on the road, they're going to face a ton of adversity. I don't know, man. I know a win's a win. I just remember Oregon struggling against former FBS back to FCS Idaho. Okay,
and I know 14.
And I know they beat Boise State, but God, man, I really think Ohio State figures out a way to win, because Ohio State can argue that they may be the best team in the country.
Right. Now, one thing I've got to say, and I know there was a lot of people pumped about that game last week. Can we stop talking about Iowa being this defensive juggernaut? Because here's my thing. Now you bring it up to this year, right? Their last 4 games against top 25 opposition. They have been outscored 134-7.
Wow.
Right.
That's amazing if you really put it all in perspective.
Dominic says, go Ducks, can't stand OSU. I can't stand them either, Dominic. Can't stand them either. But I like Oregon in this game. I think Oregon wins. It's possibly a rematch, but I like Oregon in this game. I thought I missed the graphic. The other game I want to talk about, man, it's an old Big 8 rival, Kansas State and Colorado. I think this game is very intriguing because of
it is.
One, Coach Prime, all this talk about Colorado, Kansas State. Everyone's now leading towards Iowa State being the team of the Big 12. Kansas State going on the road to Boulder. I love this matchup. I think it's going to be a very intriguing. I'm going to have YouTube TV, so I'm going to have the quad feed going and have Oregon, Ohio State, Kansas State, Colorado, LSU, Ole Miss. I'm going to have all 4 of them going, just be loving life.
That sounds like a great day to me.
Absolutely.
I'm about to shock myself what I'm about to say. I think it's been a work in progress for prime time and getting quality offensive line, that is. And we all know that there's 2 players on this team which really stand out, namely one. But they're starting to win those battles up front, and they're getting better. I think that Colorado is a contender now in the Big 12. Do I think they're going to win it? No. But I do think they're going to become bowl eligible and may go up to 8 or 9 wins, which is a significant improvement.
Sure. The thing with them is, and I think Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback. Whether he's the number 1 pick, I don't know. It's also one of those, I'd like to see him with like better offensive line.
Right.
Travis Hunter, I think, is a phenomenal football player. He's probably up there with Ashton Jeanty for me because of everything that he does.
Yeah.
But, this game coming up with Kansas State, you got Sunshine running the ball, Giddens in the backfield, and y'all know Kansas State they're going to muck it up. Now, I will say this. I was surprised at that BYU Kansas State game and how it turned so quick. It was so quick.
I was shocked. I was like, is this really happening? And nobody's talking about BYU.
They're quietly sitting there undefeated. They got a big game against Arizona this week.
Lavelle Edwards is smiling.
Yep. Kalani Sitake getting it done, man. He's getting it done.
I'm going to take Colorado in the upset.
It's like I said, I want to see, because obviously the crowd loves them. And, I know a lot of people, like the Sun Belt Syndicate said, which, Sean, I'm going to tell you, man, if you like Group of 5 talk, Sun Belt Syndicate right here, man, they talk, they get some of the guys on from Texas State. Like
Oh yeah.
And this is a great group of five. Like if you want group of five, right? Sunbelt Syndicate is it.
I'm gonna follow them and on the
Yeah,
pod
you need to follow
platform.
them. Let's talk specific players of Colorado. What do
I
you
want to
make
tell
of
you,
Will Shepherd taking a shot at Vanderbilt 2 weeks ago? And what is he thinking now after what he said about Vanderbilt? Well, yeah, we can get into that.
yeah,
Specific players at Colorado. I think Shador is a talented football player. It's unfortunate because his father is who he is and what he's doing, right? Travis Hunter, I think, and I get why he went to Colorado, why he followed Coach Prime to Jackson State. I mean, obviously, Coach Prime played both offense and defense in the NFL. You want to learn from the best. You get it. I mean, that guy, phenomenal receiver, phenomenal defensive back, makes great plays. Shiloh, I think, needs to rein it in a little bit. Now, the way that Shador acts, I think is a turnoff for me if I'm an NFL GM.
I endorse that statement. I'm shocked. I've heard nothing but he's a great kid, but the way his demeanor is, as someone who's the leader of that team, I don't like it.
I didn't like
but
how,
my opinion doesn't matter.
No, but I didn't like how the Colorado State game. Obviously, there was a lot of tension going into that game because of last year, everything that happened. The Colorado State quarterback made some comments on social media, just like what made Colorado popular, being on social media. And after the game, the Colorado State quarterback swallowed that pride, went up to him, and he was like, "Oh, you that guy that was talking shit online," and was just kind of a punk about it. And I'm like, he's doing the same thing. He was at least being a man to come up to you and say, "Hey, good game. It's just talk, let's move on." But Shador wanted to be kind of a little baby,
It's a pour over or carry over from the previous year when those two had some bad blood.
So Vandy Chris, another guy I followed, man. Obviously, he's a Vanderbilt fan. What was your take on what happened last week in Nashville?
So Stevie Lee who co-hosts the Pass Rush with Stevie Lee on this podcast or my podcast, he said from day one, he said Vanderbilt, they have been developing. I love what this coach is doing. He's developing the line, and he's had some players in the system for a while that had bought in, and they have depth like at running back. One of the running backs, Cedric Alexander's from here in Austin. He is the Austin Independent School District's career rushing leader all time. They have some talent. They do. They have some talent, and some of them have stayed there, and they've had some portal guys, shockingly. And it's not to knock Vanderbilt. It's that quarterback from New Mexico State. Yeah, people don't realize Coach Kill, who built New Mexico State into what they were, he's on that staff at Vanderbilt.
Now, I'll give Vandy Chris his flowers. He was talking about it from the beginning, like during the preseason. He was like, "Hey, watch this team," and I was impressed because here's the thing: there was no fluke calls, fluke play. Vanderbilt lined up and just took Alabama's lunch money. The time of possession, I think it was 42 minutes to 17 minutes. Vanderbilt was 12 of 13 on third down conversions. Or no, 13 of 18, sorry. 13 of 18. Hell, Sean, Oklahoma hasn't converted 13 third downs all year, okay? And they did it in one football game, all right? And what I found spoke a lot to what Clark Lee is instilling there. Every time Alabama answered with a big play, Ryan Williams, every time they came right back over the top and didn't hesitate.
Yeah.
Didn't hesitate. And they made Alabama, in some instances, look like they were afraid of contact because they just lined up and came right at them.
I saw three occasions in that game, which got my attention. Of course, it doesn't matter. I think anybody who's a football player who has played, you want to play the best. If you get intimidated, then that permeates throughout a team, and you've already lost the game before you play. But I saw three instances, and pardon my language, there were some DBs for Vanderbilt. The play they could have just forced the Alabama receiver out of bounds, but they put that belt to the ass, and I mean, literally lit them up.
See, and I forgot that game this weekend's a 6:30 game. I'm gonna have that one on too. Vanderbilt at Kentucky, like that's a very intriguing football
underrated game.
You know, I'm surprised that Kentucky's favored by 12.5. I know going to the Commonwealth, but you know what I hope, okay, is that they don't let the Alabama victory beat them this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, don't rest on your laurels. Says I worry about all the attention they've gotten this week, and they tune out the noise. Yeah, that's what we're just talking about, Vandy. That's what we're just talking. Your boy Matt Short said Kentucky's defense will stop Vanderbilt tomorrow evening, and Kentucky has a great defense. You saw what they did to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So again, it's so crazy to see what has gone on, but I loved that there was more people in Nashville carrying the goalpost down Broadway than fans for Vanderbilt that were in the stadium, because it was all Alabama in there. And kudos to, I mean, you remember, you were in Oklahoma in 2000 when Oklahoma beat Nebraska. The field goal post made it all the way to the duck pond. All right? That's not 4 miles away like what they did in Nashville. And it was a great night. Like, you know, you think about last weekend, 5 of the top 11 lost. Only one was to a top 25 team. All of them were on the road. So that's why it goes to show you how tough it is to play on the road. And that's, you know, I don't know. There's so many good games this weekend. I mean, you know, Florida-Tennessee is a rivalry game. But it's, you know, Tennessee's coming off that loss. What can Florida do? South Carolina, Alabama. South Carolina, probably one of the best 2-loss teams out there. Some terrible officiating in that game against LSU. They've only got 1 loss. Jalen, Jam, Ryan Williams. Now, we're in that same. All right, we're in that same. So I'm going to ask you, you love the movie The Program.
I do.
Did you have a problem with Ryan Williams wearing the eye black that said kill everybody in honor of Alvin Mack?
It doesn't bother me at all. It's just that I get it. We're just in a society. People post stuff, and they'll put a message out how offended they are by it, and they have no idea what it's referenced. There's a lot of ignorance, and some of it's innocent ignorance.
Sure.
But we live in this world where somebody can tear down another human or an organization as a team in this case. Social media has a lot of angry people and cowards.
Keyboard tough guys.
Keyboard tough guys. And, you know, it's just indicting people. And it's just like, no, how about just Google that quote and you'll have your answer really quick before you hit send on a tweet.
Now on that, in the same regard, speaking of Alabama, 2 things that I want to tell people. Being here in Alabama, all right, well, there's 3. 1, I was surprised more Alabama fans were pissed off about the shirt Kalen DeBoer was wearing, right?
T-shirt.
They're like, we don't need to see your nipples while you're coaching. But I'm like, that's what you're worried about?
They were sand dollars.
Not the fact that you just got bullied in Nashville. You're worried about what the coach is wearing. Second thing, what is your thoughts on the actions of Malachi Moore, and what should Kalen DeBoer have done with Malachi Moore?
It was handled in-house, apparently.
Right.
Correct?
Sure.
I don't know. I think everyone – I've been thinking about that. Everyone – DeBoer is under a huge, huge magnifying glass, so to speak.
And this is why people are like, well, Nick Saban lost to ULM his first year. It's not the same. Nick Saban
totally
took
different.
over guys from Mike Shula. You didn't have 4 and 5 stars on this team. To me, it's a worse loss because nobody was thinking about that. And not to take anything away from what Clark Lee and Vanderbilt did, for me, Alabama now losing to Vanderbilt is a worse loss than Alabama losing to ULM in Saban's first year. Hell, they lost 5 games that year.
They did. It took them 2 or 3 years before.
Yeah, he says DeBoer should have ripped the C off his jersey. The worst part of what was waving off the coaches when they wanted to get him. Vandy, I agree. You know, I know you and I butt heads on some things, but yeah, when the coach is trying to do what's best for you and get you off the field, because again, I get it. You hate losing, you know, but if you're a captain and you're somebody that's going to look at there's a way. And I'm, you know, get mad, whatever, but kicking the ball, I mean, he should have been ejected when he ran Pavia's helmet into the ground when they picked up that first down. Just, I mean, I didn't like it. He came out and made his little comment and all that. I don't know. But even in Vandy, what he said, Damian Harris, former running back at Alabama, came out and said in his day, they would have ripped the C off his jersey. The players
the player leadership. So they're facing some adversity that Alabama hasn't faced in a long time. I mean, you're starting to see, wow, there's talent. They have enough talent to play for a championship.
Sure.
But getting there, I mean, we all know just because you have talent doesn't mean you're going to do it. You got to have good player-led policing and leadership. Match Wright, by the way.
Yeah,
but I agree.
Love watching that kid.
I agree with Vandy. Regardless of where we are in society now, regardless of cameras, one of his teammates, or several, and Coach DeBoer, get off the field. Don't wave me off, and don't kick the damn ball.
Yeah.
Because I get it, man. They're facing things they haven't faced in a long time.
And here's the thing now is what does that do for the remainder of the year? Because now Alabama doesn't have this air of invincibility. You've still got to play a good South Carolina team. You've got to go to Tennessee. Josh has already beaten you up there in Knoxville. Missouri, I think they're a fraud, but still Brady Cook, Theo Weiss, Luther Burden, they can put up some points at LSU. You know, and then they got at Oklahoma and then the Iron Bowl, which no matter how bad Auburn is, it's always a game that comes down to the wire. So it's crazy.
Chris Davis is coming back for one more play.
The kick six, man. Six.
I guarantee you this week there has been a meeting of the minds. I'm pretty sure that they did not have a fun week in Tuscaloosa.
And my thing, so I had an opportunity early in the year to actually go down and be in a press conference with Kalen and be down there and talk to him. And the guy's won everywhere he's been. But again, you were in that unenviable position of being the guy that followed Nick Saban. And you didn't have that room for error like Nick had when he came in.
Zero.
You were expected to, if you lost to Georgia, people would be pissed off, but I think but again, and I don't want to say this and like take anything away from Vanderbilt. You lose to Vanderbilt, now this air of invincibility is gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have Texas this year because Texas came into Tuscaloosa and took your lunch money last year. You know, you had a great first half against Georgia, a really bad fourth quarter. Now, Kane Womack, people are talking about Pete Golding, how good the Ole Miss defense is playing compared to what Kane Womack is doing. So there's a lot of turmoil, but some other top 25 games I want to get to before we get into what we're going to talk about. Tonight, it's a late night game, Big 12 late night. The Utes, Cam Rising, Uncle Rico Father Time is back to take on Arizona State. Former
Longhorn quarterback.
Just think how long he's been playing college football.
7 years.
It's just unbelievable. Clemson goes to Wake Forest. You know what? Ooh. I'm surprised at Dabo because of how well they've turned it around. I think right now they're probably one of the best teams in the ACC, along with Pitt. Pitt's playing phenomenal football. Excited,
but they're underrated. No one's talking about it yet.
Missouri at UMass. That's and I'm not a fan.
Who agreed to that? Why would they agree to go on the road for that?
I don't know. I don't know. But like I said, I've never liked Eli Drinkwitz. I always said he looked like Rick Moranis from the Little Giants. I always call him the wrong O'Shea brother. He just, that just doesn't look like Penn State, USC, Stanford, Notre Dame. Here's what's crazy about Notre Dame. Stanford, who knows what they're going to bring. But then you go Georgia Tech, Then you got to play a really good Navy football team that's really good and can beat
Navy
you.
and Army
And they play
are
Army.
rocking.
They play. Here's what's crazy. Did you know this? So I was at the game, the Tulane UAB game last week, and watching that debacle. But talking to people up in the press box, even the SID, Ted Feely from UAB, if Army and Navy are undefeated, we'll see what they're. But if they're undefeated, they're going to have to play in the AAC championship game, then play in the Army-Navy game the next weekend.
Why would they? I don't understand.
I guess they didn't think that they were going to be this good. And with, when the selections were made, you want to do it that weekend after all the conference championships. So the AAC championship is the week before the Army-Navy game. Let's see. Which version of Leonard shows up for Yeah, the quarterback or the runner. But here, I think Coach Freeman needs to worry about how fly he looks when he's walking to the game and coach some damn football. That's
excellent point. Cut the swag out. We
right.
we don't care about.
When Mizzou was bad, they agreed to home and home. Same with Vandy going to Georgia State. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Thanks for that. I did not know that. It just educated me tonight.
Well, Vandy does a good job keeping me up to date on what's going on. See, now you got Cal versus Pitt. California's got to come all the way to Pittsburgh to play. Holstein doing a really good job playing quarterback for Pitt. Purdue against Illinois. I mean, Illinois is ranked. Luke Altmaier playing good football.
Let's go back to Cal. Hold on a second.
That game,
Berkeley obviously is in the Bay Area. On the Pacific Coast.
Yep.
I'm having troubles accepting it. I'm going to have to get over it. So they're going to go play on the Atlantic coast.
They're going to be up in the Appalachian Mountains playing up in Pittsburgh.
Hey, man, the Allegheny River, it's oh, my God. You're on the Pacific Coast, but you're going to play you're in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Right. And then you got SMU. He said, how much money do we need to get in here?
Kudos to them. Kudos to them. But, Sean, it's time to get into it, man. It's what I came together for. First off, I talk about food all the time, right?
I love food.
So this was one of the weekends that, like, on my Facebook, it populated being at the OU Texas game.
Right.
So we used to stay in Las Colinas at the radio station. Yes. Did you ever hear of Subs and Stuff in Las Colinas?
Heard of it. Never been.
Bro, look at this sandwich.
Oof.
This popped up, and I went and looked today at the pricing. Read that. Provolone, Swiss, American, ham, pastrami, turkey, cotto salami, pepper jack, pepperoni, gallo salami, roast beef. When I got this all those years ago, it took them 30 minutes to hand slice every cheese, every meat. Like, it wasn't like just pre-made. They hand sliced everything.
So this picture doesn't do it any justice.
No, it's 2.9 pounds of food. Not caloric, just in actual mass weight. It was a 3-pound sandwich. Now, here's what else and why I did this. I put the menu, the price, everything at the bottom. 10 years ago, being in Texas for this game, that sandwich, a full, was $9.99. Now
300%.
Now it's $27.99.
Why would you order a full? Why would anybody order a full?
Dude, now I don't know, but back then for $9.99,
oh, it's a bargain.
Yeah, and I sat there, I sat there and just watched them make it, slicing and everything. I think, man, I hammered this sandwich. It was one of those that once you started, it's like, you're not going to defeat me. You're not going to defeat me. I'm going to take this thing down. And like I said, it was, and I remember, so Dusty Dvorak and Teddy came by and saw, and they were like, Dusty, he's like, oh, good job, Joe's. Good job, Joe's.
Oh, yeah.
Good job. But,
Dusty.
Dusty. But here we go. I had to do it.
Oh, you did the upside down.
I had to do it.
I was not prepared for that.
I had to do it. Here, and I, one of the things that you and I learned being, covering media, I don't ever want to steal what somebody said. And I hate that I forgot who posted it, but I was listening to the Steel Man, which obviously he's an Oklahoma radio legend. He brought up a stat, and here's what's crazy. Somebody tweeted it, so it's not my thought. I didn't come up with a stat.
Right.
But this game, there is not a single offensive player that'll be on the field for the University of Oklahoma that was on the field on that last drive against Texas last year.
Really?
Not a single player. Nick Anderson's not playing. Jaleel Farouk is out. I mean,
5 receivers.
I mean,
out.
it's
Done.
crazy, but not a single offensive player from that last drive will be on the field tomorrow in the Cotton Bowl.
That is, I was not aware of that.
I wasn't either. Like I said, whoever it was that made the tweet, that's a hell of a stat. It's not, like I said, it's not mine. I heard somebody talking about it. Let's see. Why do I have a gut feeling that with the injuries to Texas running back room, Texas gets got? Man, don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't put that out into the universe.
But no, there's a lot. So let's just dive in and talk about this game. Obviously, I've got to know a lot of SEC people.
Right.
There are some people think that I'm crazy when I say that this is the best rivalry game in college football. And the reason I say that, and you know Kyle Umalog, he he likes to stir stuff up, but he made the post about this is the 44th time that Oklahoma and Texas will both be in the top 25, which is more than the Iron Bowl, the Egg Bowl, and I can't remember the other game he said combined. Again, not to take away anything, and I tell people, you've been there. You know what it's like to walk, and I'm sure when you were doing news, taking pictures and taking video of the buses coming in, everybody giving the one finger salute to the other team, the fair being the winning team's playground afterwards.
Right.
It's hard to describe. The only thing that I can compare it to is back in the day when Alabama and Auburn played at Legion Field. That's
in Birmingham.
In Birmingham. But just talk about your experience at this game and obviously being a Texas guy, what it means to you.
We'll start with the latter question. So I was born and raised in Austin, and there weren't many members in my family, even extended family, really cared about college football. But there were 2 games in the state which people watched: Texas A&M, and Texas OU. Mm-hmm. I got my first really started to understand Texas OU. I started asking questions when I was 7 years old. So that's about 1980.
Freaking Peter Gardier.
Yeah. And I started asking questions. Why do they play in Dallas?
Mm-hmm. They're
playing at the Cotton Bowl. And then 2 years later, I don't know how, but a former Longhorn, Jerry Sizemore, who played on those great, it's a good one. As a kid growing up on a southwestern Iowa farm, I watched Texas OU yearly. Never heard of the Iron. Yep, right there.
Right. And again, take nothing away from those games. Take nothing away from them. But it's just, there's something about it.
It's different, man. I just started to learn about it. Now, to me personally, I think Texas OU is the best rivalry game with atmosphere, everything. It's the best rivalry game.
Now, there's been games that have been bigger. I mean, obviously, Michigan, Ohio State, where they've been ranked recently, Alabama, Auburn, the Iron Bowl, going to the SEC championship. But like, as in its totality, everything involved in this is just,
I mean,
Fletcher's Corny Dogs, Wax Cup beers,
right?
Big Tex.
Big Tex has a case of no acetol, by the way.
Well, I was there. Remember, you were there the year he spontaneously
caught on
combusted.
Fire. He combusted.
He was mad because Texas lost.
I didn't get to go to my. So back to my statement. This is not going to make sense. I'm trying to articulate it. I think Texas OU nationally is the best rivalry game in the state of Texas, though. A&M and Texas is the biggest.
And that game's back. I'm excited to see that game back. I'm excited to see that game back.
So to paint the picture for everybody, here's the beauty of this. Not only growing up that I love it, I went to my first one in 1991.
Okay.
And that's when Bubba Jack scooped up the fumble, and it ended up being the game winner eventually. But not only did I get to grow up with it, go to some of them, but I would end up in my TV career on my third job in Oklahoma City. I got to cover both sides of this, Oklahoma City, and then I ended my career at the ABC affiliate here in Austin. So I got to cover it from both sides of it. And it's looking back now, it's mind-blowing because OU and Texas are very similar, but very different. Oh,
absolutely.
When you go through this, I'm just going to pretend we're the team buses. Let's take one of them.
One of the greatest scenes in college football, man.
Oh, my God. So historically, that's inner city Dallas. It's gentrifying now.
Right.
And you don't want a night game there because
somebody would die. Somebody would die.
I remember when I was young, we parked in people's yards, and it was you get solicited with things that aren't legal.
Hasn't changed. I mean, I used to have to be at the fairgrounds because it was always an 11 a.m. kickoff.
Right.
I had to be at the fairgrounds at 4 a.m. so I could get all of our radio equipment in because we would always set up outside gate 1 to do our pregame show, and I'd have to be in there like Templeton from Charlotte's Web wandering around the fair, and then all of a sudden it's great. It's great. But yeah,
great.
It's not a great environment at 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, I feel for you. So the team bus pulls in and meanders around, and people are lined up. I mean, you got the fair it's one of those old school bowl stadium, and it has upper deck on either side. Just a hat of 20 to 20.
Yep.
20-yard line to 20-yard line, upper deck. It may be goal line to goal line. I can't remember. But it's a fair. I mean, food, the smells. You salivate. Yep. You hear the sound of the fair rides every 15 minutes. Yep. The smell. I mean, it's just a myriad. It's sensory overload.
Yeah. Yep.
And the team buses come up to that entrance, the locker rooms. If you're getting off the bus, I believe the home team is right here. The visitors are over here. I may have them mixed up. It's the entrance on the top of that tunnel. And that tunnel, if you want to smell history, go in that tunnel. It is the most beautiful thing. The tunnel has evolved. The stadium's been.
I've got a picture. One of my favorite pictures, and I can't remember what year it was being at the game, is I got all of our radio equipment in, and I walked back around to where that was. And I looked at the security guy. I was like, man, can I just walk down the ramp? Because going back and remembering, all the Earl Campbell, Keith Jackson, Holloway, Peter Gardere, Keith and Kerry Cash, Derek, like the greats that walked down this tunnel. And I got a picture from on the field looking up the tunnel, and it's one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. Just because he looked at me and he goes, now you come back or else I'm going to come get you. I'm like, brother, don't worry. I'm not going to do that because he was about as big as Tavondre Sweat back then.
Yeah, large human.
So, but it's just, I love it. I mean, some people make pot shots about the stadium that it's old. I know they're doing a lot of renovations and stuff, but about the game, let's break down this game. Quinn Ewers is back.
Right.
Arch Manning had some success.
In 2 games.
There's still a lot of people who think if it starts to falter, they're going to throw Arch in there. You're closer to it. Is there one? I don't think there is. Is there a quarterback controversy? And do you think Sark, if it's like last year and Quinn has a couple of turnovers early in the game, thinks about going to Arch?
There's no controversy. This is Quinn Ewers' team. There's no controversy. I shake my head and laugh now. It's kind of irritating. And I know digital journal, that's one of the reasons I got out of the media was it became a clickbait type of, and because we wanted more focus on digital. I know that's where it is because nobody watches local news anymore in most markets, like they used to. But there's always a headline, Arch's future. He's not going anywhere.
No.
The Mannings are he needs to be coached hard. They want him coached hard. They want him to develop. Arch is talented, uber talented. He's good. He has it, but he needs to be developed.
Sure.
He's not there yet. He's not there. And it's totally different coming in as a backup in a game than starting.
Yeah.
Starting the game, he did okay. He did really well. His pass efficiency was pretty good. Arch is going to have his day, and he's going to shine if timing with the O-line is developed too. We all know that. But I don't think Quinn's going to have a 2 or 3 turnover day like last year.
Sure.
What I think he's different, but he's also not 100%.
Right.
He's enough to go. It's an oblique muscle, and it's kind of like a hamstring. If you think about it, your hamstring never fully heals until you. If you ever pulled an oblique muscle, I had a minor strain 25 plus years ago. you always felt that twinge, and then one day it stopped. It takes time. I think Quinn's ready. I think he'll have a great game, but let's be honest with each other. Brent Venables has generated so many defensive game plans which were more successful against Texas than they were not.
Sure. And that's
They're going to throw something
that
at
chess match between Brent Venables, one of the best defensive mind in college football, Steve Sarkisian, and his script at the beginning is always one of the best, but it's the late game, what he could do. Think back to the Washington game, what have you. But that chess match between Brent Venables and Steve Sarkisian is one of the things that, being a football nerd, I love. And in that, and I'm going to ask you, and I value your opinion. This is not just trying. Where do you think Texas has the biggest advantage against Oklahoma in this game? I know there's a lot of rooms that people would take Texas over Oklahoma, but which one do you think is the biggest advantage for Texas?
I don't think if Texas O-line can hold up and give Quinn 3 seconds, they're not going to be able to cover all those receivers.
Sure.
There's no way. And if they do, I mean, OU's defense is really good, guys. It's really good. The thing that Texas needs to do is keep that defense on the field.
Right, because they got tired in that Auburn game. I mean, they were getting tired because, again, terrible third down conversion rate for Seth Luttrell in this offense.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they diagram up for a young Michael Hawkins, a Dallas guy. Obviously, his dad played at Oklahoma.
A legacy.
Being trained by Kyler Murray's father. And I was at that game. I talked earlier. I was at that game in Auburn, and what I took from watching him in the stadium, he had control of that offense, calling out protection changes, stuff like that. The moment didn't look too big for him, and it's sad for Jackson Arnold, but the moment looked too big for him. And I hope he has a great career. I don't wish anything bad, but again, now this is a huge thing, and no matter who it was, whether it was Jackson Arnold or Michael Hawkins, they were making their first start in this game. And you've been there. You know how it is. If you're on the Oklahoma side and you're Oklahoma going in, everything's going to be fine. But if you're on that Texas end trying to go in, even though it's half of the stadium, it's one of the loudest places. And it's there's so much involved. With him being a Dallas kid, I mean, like, whoa.
It is a for both teams, for Texas and OU, it is both a home game and away game in the same stadium.
Yep.
I mean, Texas is offense is going to be stressed some.
Sure.
Because I guarantee you that Oklahoma defense is going to bring it. There is no doubt. But I want to say this. I think Sark, he's matured, and he's a better head coach. He is a much better head coach for what he's gone through and been transparent. He's a better coach because of 5 and 7 that first year. I mean, they've done nothing but do this.
Right, and I'll say this: I commend him because I was hoping. I'm not one of these people. Yes, it's a rivalry, but I don't want to see anybody suffer. When it was
No.
announced that he was going through the divorce, I was praying that he wasn't
Yep.
going to have a backslide, for what was giving him problems before. From what I understand, he hasn't, so I commend him. That's a tough thing to do. So, you just need the stripper and the monkey. You'll be all right.
Everybody needs a good monkey and a stripper in there under the roof. A pole. It used to be
The
some
pole
pole dance
assassin.
in your living room. It's a pole assassin.
Pole assassin.
See,
That's what she was. Are you
I think-
concerned about the running backs? I mean, obviously Baxter being hurt, Blues coughing the ball up, but I like Wisner, the young man from DeSoto. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Texas high school football and how good DeSoto and that program is. I think Wisner is another one of those guys that, Xavier Worthy type speed. But are you concerned about Blue and the running backs coughing the ball up?
No, but I will say this. I mean, last year in the CFP semifinal, he fumbled there. And I think we all know. I get it. You as a coach, you say that's a liability. It's become our strength has become a liability. I still think there's no way Texas loses to Washington if they kept running the football. Keep giving the ball. Don't ruin this kid.
Yeah.
But and I'm not making excuses. Some kids have bad luck at running back. Meaning he took two, I think both fumbles were good square hits.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was being careless. I mean, it was pop. But other running backs take good hits too.
Right.
And it just doesn't happen to them. So I don't know. I think you keep giving it to him. Let him get the confidence back. I mean, Jaden Blue is not one to lack confidence.
No,
I've read his
like
body language.
he's got great talent, immense talent. I mean, in the line of a Baxter, a Bijan. I mean, just the litany of running backs Texas has had lately. I mean, it's a spoil of riches.
But it could be an advantage for Oklahoma to get into that kid's head.
Sure.
And utilize that strip the ball drill that everybody
The peanut
loves
punch.
to hate.
Pop.
Pop. Or the old Derek Johnson.
Yeah.
Go. Boom.
He's still one of the best. And
He is.
He was one of the best.
Here's the secret on this offense that could beat you. Gunnar Helm, tight end.
Tight end. Been playing great.
That's
great
the secret.
football.
And it will help Quinn under pressure because he could turn a 5-7 yard pass or reception into 15 to 20 yards.
And what he's good at too is something Oklahoma excels coming off the edge. Whether you've had Ethan Downs, R. Mason Thomas, Trace Ford, for someone like Gunnar Helm to get that chip and be able to come off and turn that 3-4 yard reception into 7, into 10, into bigger chunks is huge. And that's why people were hoping that Bauer Sharp, from Southeast Louisiana was going to be that guy. He can't block a soul. I don't think he could block a Cool Breeze if he stood in front of a fan. But I hope he plays well. But yeah, I think that's great. I think Gunnar. I mean, I think he's got a chance to be really impactful in this game.
Well, here's this, and I'm just going to throw out the obvious. And I've got 2 more points. This one being the first one. If you go back and there's actually 3 points. You go back and look at this game, the history of it. It's just different. It is so different. It's not your normal football game. And the better team, the worst team, wins a lot of these games. Historically, but here's the go
James
back and
Allen.
read James Allen. Go back and look at these games in the last 20 years.
Right.
There's 2 things: good tight end play. I mean, Mark Andrews, Jermichael Finley had a breakout game, even though Texas lost that game by a touchdown. And then when, what was the linebacker for OU in 2008 when he went down? Ryan, I forgot his name. They had a key injury to a linebacker during the game. What did Texas do? Instead of using a tight end, they put Jordan Shipley in the slot, but close to the line, standing up, and he just took advantage. He and Colt all day. Keith Jackson, when they would throw it. I mean, it's a longer list. And then number 2, it's not turnovers that loses you this game. If you can't run the damn ball, it's whoever is more physical and runs the ball.
Let me ask you this. Texas is favored by 14.5. A lot of people think that it could be another 49-0 game. They think that, with the offensive struggle. But if Oklahoma wins, what has happened during that game that led to an Oklahoma victory?
Hawkins gets loose 3 to 5 times. Or Quinn puts the ball on the ground or throws interceptions, right? And gives OU more chances with good field position. Or come on now, we haven't talked about this. Special teams.
Always think about last year. Texas gets their first touchdown on a block punt.
Yep.
After Quinn throws an early interception, Oklahoma goes down and scores. But yeah, I mean that block punt, that touchdown, man.
It's huge. And then 08, Texas was teetering on getting blown out.
Chipley with the return.
Kickoff return all the way. It turned the game around.
Absolutely
completely.
It did. Absolutely it did. And
you could feel it.
Yeah. Yep.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. That's right. Yep. Ryan Reynolds. You're right. Yeah. That was.
They put Bird in. Bird, I think, was the name of the linebacker.
Yeah.
And he was. Oh man, it's just Texas confused him.
What's your prediction? What's your score prediction?
The line is 14.5. I think it's a 1-score game going to the 4th. And I just don't think – I mean, we're going to see traditionally both teams are going to throw some things out there play-wise we have not seen from either team all season. I think it's a 1-score game going into the 4th, and I think Texas does win 33-16.
So you got them covering.
Not at first, and then I'm just thinking about it, and I was like, well, there it is. OU's not going to lay down. Troy. Unlike 2 years ago.
Troy, is this the Wazoo podcast? The one Wazoo fan, he's got big crimson, flying there. Yeah, that with Davis Bevel, that was god-awful. That was god-awful.
They've got a quarterback now.
Here's what's crazy. What if, because of how Michael Hawkins runs around, what if he takes a pop and Jackson Arnold has to come in? It's crazy. But like I said, I'm very intrigued to see what they do. Now, Taylor Tatum's coming back. He's going to play. Obviously, the receivers are not playing the top 5. So you've got guys like Petway and Old Crimson is here in Eugene tomorrow. Yeah, I know Old Crimson will be flying at Eugene. Again, game day on the West Coast, early in the morning out there for those. But Kirk and them are flying because he's doing the Oklahoma-Texas game. Like, as soon as game day is over, he's flying from Eugene to the fair. And I'm like, I don't know how y'all are doing that, but
wow.
Kudos to y'all.
Wow.
Bringing Ben, who I was hearing people like our good friend Eddie Radosevich and those guys, that Ben was like the superstar in Oklahoma during that Tennessee game. Like, he was they had like Ben stickers they were handing out. And I was like, what?
That's awesome.
I ain't got no problem with it. But on this, if Brent loses, is the heat turned up on Brent? Because then again, you look at this schedule, and with Alabama losing, you can now say Ole Miss lost, LSU has lost. You can now say everybody on your schedule is beatable. But also in the same breath, everybody on your schedule can beat you. I'm leaving. Right. I'm leaving Maine out. Maine it's a glorified.
The Black Bears, man, in the wintertime.
It's not a hockey game. If it was a hockey game, I'd be worried. But everybody on the schedule can beat you.
Right.
But again, you can beat everybody on your schedule.
I think the Sooner Nation really needs to leave Brent Venables alone. He followed. I know he's a OU. Has some skins on the wall with OU long time. It does not matter He followed a legend. It is so. Look at Texas. Texas could not get it right for a long time,
After Mac, yeah.
and Tom was getting there, but it just wasn't working. Look after Darrell Royal, Coach Akers, God rest his soul. He had 6 good years,
Speaking
and
of
then
that,
it
did
just
you hear
fell
about
down.
Bobby Proctor?
No,
Bobby passed away today. Former
oh
assistant
no,
coach at Oklahoma, Bobby
yeah.
Proctor, passed away. Which his grandson Bo was on that Norman North team in 2012 that played in the state championship game.
Say Bo's last name.
Bo Proctor.
Oh, Bo. Oh, that's shit. The same last name.
Yeah.
Wow.
His grandson. But yeah, and I got Bobby would come to some of the games, and he was always around there. Just again another like get Bobby Proctor and Merv Johnson sitting there talking football.
Merv.
And it's just it was phenomenal. But it's this game, and you go back to Barry Switzer wearing the Beat Texas hat with the red Sansa slap, like you wouldn't
And
see
the
that
cigarette.
and cigarettes. Terry says Longhorns by 17. You made
Okay.
it right. I think Texas wins the football game.
Right.
Let me get that out.
I'm with you on that.
I think Texas wins the football game. Again, I have just because what I've seen. From what I've seen, I have not seen this offense to be able to sustain drives. You've had some flashes. Obviously, that first run from Michael Hawkins at Auburn took it to the house. But I think that's going to put stress on the defense. Obviously, Texas is immensely talented. I don't think they win by 14.5. I think it's a close game. But I think Oklahoma, you take that L, but Troy, Texas takes that.
Oh, there you go, Troy. I like it. Bold. Bring it. So I got wow.
Come on, Terry.
Hey, I will say this, and I'm leaving I buried the lead story kind of. So all of a sudden, if you look back this century, Texas is 8, and minus the Big 12 championship in 2018 where they played twice. Texas is 8-16 against Oklahoma this century, and they've lost 9 of the last 10, I believe.
I'm trying to think. I think it was 11 of the last 15.
It's so my point being is, and most of these have been 1-score games.
Sure.
But I think there is a huge chip on, and Texas has probably been working on OU since August.
After that loss last year, absolutely. Because you know as well as I do, Texas fans, yes, you were happy they made it to the college football playoff, but you didn't get that championship, right? Diggs BT, hey, what's up? What's up, Diggs?
Diggs.
But they didn't win the national championship, and they lost to Oklahoma. First check mark for them this year is to beat Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl.
It's time, man. And then if there's any time to shift this series, because listen, obviously I'm a Texas fan. I love Texas, but I'm very objective about it. I'm real with everybody. I'm real with myself because I was objective for 21 years.
Right.
As a reporter, anchor, whatever the hell I was.
It's always hard for me to have to sit in the press box and you can't cheer.
I'll just say this. Texas is now a tougher program like OU was for so long. They were the tougher blue-blooded program. Now, did Texas fight them? Yes. But Texas also got blown out a lot.
Yeah, and people talked about it, that if you got ahead of Texas in this game, they would fold. A lot of people talked about it.
Not a lot, a few times, yes.
But I'm going to say a lot of people would talk about them.
Right.
That if that happened, if you got up a couple scores, that Texas would fold. But
right.
It's, again, like the helmet, when they do that shot down the line and you see the white helmet with the horn, you see the crimson helmet with the interlocking O and U, it's just, it's for me as a football nerd, I love the game. And because, like you, I got to cover the game for so many years. I got to be at the stadium during the inner workings of it, to be at the fairgrounds, to see everything. And I've seen the fair on both sides. After Texas won a game, to see the Texas fans take the fair over. I've seen the Oklahoma fans take the fair over after the game. And I've sat in the stadium on the 50. I've been up in the press box. I mean, heck, we'd be up there. They'd always serve barbecue, and it was always good.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
It's always good up there. But Terry says Arch Manning will probably win the Heisman next year.
I
should be a favorite.
Great.
Should be a favorite.
Got to get better offensive line for next year because they're going to lose a lot, I think.
Yeah.
I'll say this. This Texas defense, although not perfect, they're only giving up 7 points per game, and I get it. They played Colorado State. You really can't really tell how good a defense is with anybody until 8 or 9 games in the season. Yeah, Troy, it was good local barbecue.
Local barbecue up there in the press box for the OU Texas game, and believe me, Sean and I would go and get a couple plates.
In the morning. Coffee and barbecue. I think this Texas defense, you're going to see a lot of exotic blitzes. I'm going to tell you, Texas has done nothing but run base defense all season so far.
Perk. Damn right it was a perk.
You're damn right it was, and we took it for granted. No, we didn't take it for granted. We took advantage of it. And we were grateful for God. I ate the bone marrow, damn it.
Yep. Would you see now they've got burnt end bombs there at the fair?
Oh my God, Chipotle.
The Chipotle raspberry barbecue. Yeah, I'm in.
Fletcher's corn dog, Fletcher's mustard beer.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
I heard that. Now, see, here's Terry brings up a good point. I'm going to ask you, would you like to see Oklahoma and Texas play in the red and orange uniforms like UCLA and USC do? How USC's always in the red, UCLA's in the powder blue. Would you like to see Oklahoma and Texas play in home and homes?
No.
You think it'd be too much?
You mean play in Austin?
No. In the home jerseys, like both teams, like Texas would wear the orange and Oklahoma would wear the crimson on the same time.
Too
close.
I wouldn't have a problem with it. It just
Terry brings up a good point. When I was at Auburn last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, they did the orange out, and with the red smattering in there, like it was kind of hard to see. It was hard to see. Smoked chicken and pork currently. Attaboy, Troy. Ooh. He did some smoked cream corn not too long ago, Sean.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
To Wazoo, we always see the Wazoo flag on game day, and somebody's bringing it. You know what I started seeing lately? Rent the Texas State Bobcat flag. I'm like, what?
San Marcos, baby. San Marcos, Texas.
Hey, G.J. Kinney is doing some good things. I mean, they did lose their big game. They had who was it? They brought a Pac-10 team in, I thought.
Arizona State.
They should have beat them.
Yeah.
A Big 12. Sorry.
Big
Sorry,
12.
I got the conferences wrong.
Yeah, so there's the jalapeno cream corn. Troy's a fan.
We need to be friends.
Troy's a fan of bourbon too, so we talk a lot about good bourbon and everything. But
I will be on the bourbon tomorrow. I just can't because I got to get up at 5:30 in the morning.
All right, now real quick before we get out of here, I got to show you this. This is something I always do. All right, this is something that one of my favorite segments.
We're gonna count it down real quick. Top 6 in Sports Bytes mix. What's popping in your town? We're bringing it all around. Give them a sixer, top sixer.
Gambling is illegal in Bushwood, sir.
The best. Ain't no
And I
mess.
never slopped.
Time to impress.
Oh, goodness, yeah. Because you remember my touchdown call was give him a sixer. So I've got my 6 picks of games, all right? This is what I think. I like Oklahoma plus the 14.5. I like Oregon plus 3. I think Oregon wins outright. I think LSU wins outright, so I like LSU getting plus the points. I like USC plus the points. My lock, which I'm 5-1 on my locks, right? 5-1 on my locks. I like Kansas State minus the 4.5 against Colorado, and I took Boise State minus 21 over Hawaii.
Hawaii, the Rainbow. Are they the Rainbow Warriors still?
That's a great question. I know a lot of those have changed. Like they're no longer the Fighting Illini. It's just the Illini. Syracuse is not the Orangemen. They're just the Orange.
St. John's changed their mascot altogether.
Right. So what do you think about that? I'm 20-16 on the year. So if we're betting, obviously I'm positive, and I'm 5-1 on my locks.
Your pockets are fat.
Right. Terry says they went back to doing the Rainbow Warriors, which they need to go back to the Timmy Chang, like the silver helmets and all that. Colt Brennan.
The rainbow.
Yep.
Like that. I think you got a good one here. Kansas State, Colorado, and you're giving Colorado 4.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a good. I'm telling you, man. People need to watch that game, and I'm pretty positive it's going to be highly viewed.
And I was excited earlier, Nebraska, Colorado. Like I remember Darian Hagan and Flanagan, and the options go in hand.
Davis McGee.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, they had Colorado, and it all started after Sal and Nussey passed away. With McCarty, they turned in, and then Cordell and Willie McGinnis, all those guys they had there. So yeah, it was phenomenal. It's going to be a fun weekend. Everyone's looking forward to this weekend. So a lot of people weren't talking about it last weekend. Then you had all the craziness last weekend. But Sean, tell everybody how they can check out Stories Inside the Man Cave podcast.
Yeah, if you would, man, I appreciate you, brother. Much love for that. You can see all of our episodes on the Stories Inside the Man Cave Facebook page and the Stories Inside the Man Cave YouTube page. And if you want to like all of our social media platforms, mainly Twitter, Instagram, and I've got TikTok, but I have not updated it in 2.5 months. It's too much, man.
I've had to get on there, and like I said, I've got all my socials listed down there. I try to do like a poll question every day.
Yeah.
Get people involved. Started to mess around with some of the video cuts. Really getting into it, but man,
it's fun, man.
I've had. We're actually getting ready to go up. We have the Golden Boot podcast coming up at 8:30 on our Dogs TV network. I'm gonna have to get you back on, man.
I would love to, man.
Love talking football with you. I miss hanging out at the Cotton Bowl with you because we always had a great time. You're one of the guys that I tell people that, yes, there's a rivalry, but we can always talk ball because you and I will both just, hey, Oklahoma's bad at this. We're very realistic about it. That's why I've always appreciated, everything that, our friendship and man, just continued success with you, brother.
Hey, man, brothers for life, man. You ever need anything, let me know. You're doing great work here. I've watched this evolve, and this is amazing what you've done with it.
I appreciate it. A lot of hard work, and just kind of really excited about where it's going. Like I said, the college football Dogs are doing big things. We're paired up with the Maxwell Award. We've got some big stuff coming. I'm going to be at the Maxwell Awards, kind of doing like a play-by-play of the actual Maxwell Awards, and hopefully I can get my boy Teddy Lehman out there because he's a Bednarik Award winner. We can get Teddy out there,
right?
Bring him on there. The Butkus and Bednarik Award winner T. Lehman, big play in that Oklahoma-Texas series.
Huge.
Huge. I always gave him grief. I was like, that's the worst celebration of one of the biggest plays in college football I've ever seen. All he did was raise his hands up. He didn't throw the horns down or nothing. The Superman play is what I'm talking about, guys. You can go watch number 11. This guy I did my show with for a long time. We were co-hosts together. He catches the pass when Roy Williams hits Chris Sims, and all he does is throw his hands up. And it was in the Texas end zone.
Right. 2-yard line. It was.
And I still, you know who I hate it the most for? Nathan Vasher.
Oh.
He messed that punt up.
Yes, he did. That's a good point.
That's what I miss. Yeah.
But on bad field position.
It is 8:30. I got to get out of here, Sean. Again, I appreciate it, man. Enjoy the game this weekend. Hopefully, you're hearing this.
Oh! Burning my ears, brother.
Hope you hear that more than you hear Texas fight, but hey.
Over under. I'm going to put the over under on how many times the OU band plays Boomer Sooner. I guarantee the over under is 12.
That's easy. They get 12 in the first quarter.
Dun, 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 dun,
that's why I was joking. Them in Tennessee, it's like the bands that play their fight song the most is Tennessee and Oklahoma. Yeah. But I'm gonna get out of here, Sean. I gotta make room for the Golden Boot to come on. You should check out the Golden Boot. They do a great job. Our guy Vandy Chris is out there. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. I appreciate everybody coming on. Appreciate the interaction. Thank you so much. Again, you see the socials down here. Follow all of them. And tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Central Time, get on the College Football Dogs Network. We have a national game day show. We've got betting analysts, everything like that coming on, so you can come in and man, well, we're going to talk some football. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to do it for me, guys. I appreciate everything. Remember to always positively move forward.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bytes with your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bytes.